last night as I'm reading a few of my, running over a few of my old homilies and some of the meditations, trying to find some points to talk for today, I came across a story and I think it's very appropriate to share with you today. The story of a man who got caught stolen a piece of food from his friend. And according to that strict rule of that country, he has to be hung to death. So before he being hung to death, he told the king, he said, "Your Highness, before you hang me to death, I have a secret of my family I would like to pass on to the next generation." The king said, "What is it?" He said, "Well, in my family there's a secret that we actually can plant the apple tree, plant an apple seeds. And just one night, just overnight, the seed will be blossom into a tree, they will blossom into flowers, and by the next evening the fruit would come out and you would be able to eat the fruit." But the king said, "Well, that's a good idea, I will let you have what you ask." So the next day the king and his cabinet gathered together, waiting for this guy to do what he asked. He bring up a seed of apple and he said, "Wow, but another secret is this. In order for this tree, the seed of apple to grow to overnight and bear fruit, it has to be planted by a man or a woman who have never stolen anything from anyone." Well, the king said, "Well, that easy." He looked over to his right, he said, "Hey, my Secretary of State, you come up here. I trust you. You're an honest person. Come up and plant the seed." As he walking up, he said, "Your Highness, I can't do that. Because I remember in my life when I was young, I stole some toy from my brother." And the king looked around and said, "Who would volunteer?" No one volunteered. So he said, "Hey, you, my Secretary of Treasures, I trust you with all the money of the kingdom. You gotta be an honest person, right? Came up and plant the fruit." And he's walking up, he said, "Well, Your Highness, I can't do that. I remember I used to steal something from my wife as well. Something that I didn't like." So the king said, "Well, the whole kingdom and no one could plant the seed because everybody commit the crime of stealing. I'm gonna do it." So he left his throne, he walking down, took the seed, was about to put the seed down to the ground. He said, "Well, I can't do that either. I remember when I was a young prince, I used to steal many things from my father, who was a king at that time." That reminded you and me that none of us is perfect. Whether we love to condemn other people or not, we are no perfect. We commit sins. We do wrong things. And you're going to ask, "Father, what does that have to do with today?" Our sins. We celebrate the holy people here, the one who are being with God. We call them in heaven. Well, it has a lot to do with them, because it gives you and me a lot of hope. First of all, all the people who been with God today doesn't mean they didn't commit any sins. There was no smaller sinners than we sit in here. The difference is probably in this. They commit the sins and they rose up above their sins and try to be better. They don't live in that valley of darkness and of sinfulness. They come out of it. They walk out of it. The people who are in heaven, the saints we so-called, could be your parents, could be your grandparents, the holy people who have died. Now, for you and me, that gives us a lot of hope. Because if I want to look back into my life and you look back into yours, you would have said, "Oh my God, how many wrong things I have done." We are no perfect people. Because if we perfect, why did He have to die for us? Right? If we perfect, He didn't have to die for us. So we know perfect. So I think we find the key to the secret of everlasting life today. It's not how many times we fail, it's how many times we want to stand up and keep moving forward. Christ Himself fell 3 times on the way to Calvary. I estimate for you and I, we're probably going to be falling about 33 million times. It's a good estimation. It means the number couldn't count. We couldn't count. But Christ fell 3 times. And how many times he stood up? 3. He didn't stand up 2. He stood up 3. When you and I, we fall 33 million times, would we stand up 33 million times? Or are we going to do 1 time short? I think that is the secret. The secret of being called saints is not that how many times we fell, but how many times we willing to stand up. And if we look at the way how Christ walked to Calvary, he's not just walking and carrying his own cross. He even allowed another person to help him. And many times in our life, we say, I don't need help. I'm good enough. Who the heck that person that's going to help me? Now let me tell you, Simeon was nothing compared with Jesus. But Jesus allowed a nobody helping to carry his cross. That's why we are living in a community of faith. That's what Catholicism is about. Faith is not a matter of my own, my personal. Faith is a matter of my own sharing it with the community. Living in a community. My dear friends, how many of you want to go to hell? Raise your hand. I'm going to put my hand down. Nobody. That's a surprise. How many of you want to go to heaven? Raise your hand. Everybody. Very good. Now, how many of you want to go to heaven tonight? Keep your hand up. Only Mike. He came back from the Death Valley. We know that. That means we have to die. Right? But every time I ask that question, people say, no, not tonight. Not yet, Lord. I don't want to go yet. You see, my dear friends, but that gives us hope. That gives us assurance that as we continue to try to live our best, we will be one day, on November the 1st, they're going to celebrate it, us, you and me, the saints of the church. That is the key to our secret. That is the key to our happiness. We go to heaven not because of the result. You know, people love to judge that. Whoa, how look at him. How much he got. You know, how would they call him this and that. The results belong to God. It's him who gave it to us. We're going to be judges on how much effort we put it in. How much effort we put it in. At the end of time, it's just we and God, face to face. And would we look into his face and we say, God, you know I have failed many times. But at the same time, you know I have tried my best. I have done everything that I could. So my dear friends, I pray that one day you and I, we're going to be enlisted. Not just individually as some great sense, but will be counted among the living. Will be counted among November the 1st, where they celebrate all the holy men and women of the church of all ages. But the key to that heaven is simple. Do your best. Every time you fall, stand up. Don't let the devil hold you down. Walk out of that valley of darkness. Stand out. And if you cannot walk out, reach your hand up and have somebody hold you and pull you out. Have somebody who walk and say, help me. I need to get out of this valley of darkness, of tears and of evil. I want to walk into the light of